Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Please feel free to write to me at walkwithtak@gmail.com if you have any question regarding to this video or any other videos that I have posted in the past. If you have any videos that you would like me to make, please let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. The goal of my YouTube channel is to help you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine, so you can cook every day and to have greatest benefit for the nutritional well-being as well as the best flavor of the food that you create. Now, salmon is probably one of the most popular fish, and in fact, a lot of people like to eat salmon more often. And my wife is a good example. For example, she never gets tired of eating salmon. Over the years, I have tried to figure out what is the best way to cook salmon, so I can have salmon anytime I want. I can have salmon at the moment of notice. And I noticed that the best way to cook salmon is actually to stir fry it. Now, most people think salmon will fall apart if you stir fry it, but I have a different technique that will help you to mix salmon with other type of vegetable in a stir fry dish, but without the salmon falling apart during the cooking process. And the best way to do this is use a method which I refer to as shallow frying. Now, in this case, I have some cold hot salmon. I'm going to coat it with cornstarch first, and I'll explain to you why I do that. Now, I discovered the best way to cook salmon is actually to fry it. Now, frying salmon can be complicated because usually salmon come in a large piece, and it's kind of difficult to fry it. And also, a lot of time, the salmon pieces are different in thickness. The edge of the salmon is thinner, whereas the center of the salmon is thicker. And to avoid this, the best thing for you to do is to actually cut up the salmon into small pieces according to their thickness. So you can sort them in such a way, the thin pieces you can put them together and you can freeze them, and they freeze actually quite well. If you use salmon that has never been frozen, you can freeze them and they will last for about 2 to 3 months. Now, if you let them being frozen for too long, the quality will undergo slight decline. Here, okay, you can see that all these salmon are in relatively thin pieces, and the reason is that because I sort them so that the thin pieces, when I cook them, they will take about the same amount of time to cook them. Now, this method for cooking salmon the intention is to fry the skin of the salmon. That will create a nice texture for the skin. Now, most people do not eat salmon skin because it tends to be fatty. And actually, one way to avoid that is that to fry it, because when you fry it, it will drive the oil out of the skin. In fact, we're going to utilize the oil because the salmon skin's oil contains omega-3 fatty acid, which is one of the essential fatty acids that has a significant benefit to many aspects of our health. It particularly has a significant contribution to our neural health. So as you can see in here, that because of the salmon are cut into small pieces, I can fry them very rapidly. Now, another thing about this is that when you cut them into small pieces, you can treat each pieces almost separately. So you can make sure they are all cooked to the same doneness. Now I start to flip the piece of the salmon. You notice that the skin of the salmon start to char. Now, this actually is something that I discover has a tremendous flavor to the frying. Because once the skin has charred, it takes on this crispy texture. It gave extremely delicious and great flavor as well as texture. Furthermore, is that because the oil has been driven out from the skin, it no longer tastes fatty. Now, in the past, if you eat salmon skin with the oil in it, it can taste fishy. But this way, it actually will not taste fishy at all. Now, you can control the texture of the skin. If you like it to be crispier, you can fry it longer. Otherwise, you don't have to fry it as long. Now, I turned this salmon upside down. I'm going to fry the flesh side a little bit as well, and this will also give it a nice crispy texture. Now it is done. I'm going to take a look at each individual pieces, make sure they are all done to the right doneness that I want. Again, this is a benefit of cooking them in individual pieces. They do not affect the quality of the salmon at all. In fact, this actually makes the salmon taste better, and by controlling it properly, you can make sure that the inside of the salmon remains to be moist. Okay, next step is that I'm going to set the salmon aside. Now I'm going to stir fry the vegetables. I'm going to start out with some broccoli. Now this broccoli actually has been in the refrigerator for almost 2 weeks. Some part of the broccoli, particularly the stem, you notice that it takes on a slightly black coloration, but it actually does not affect the flavor of the broccoli at all. Now I'm also going to add some carrots. Now the broccoli and carrot are added ahead of other vegetables because it takes a little bit longer time to cook it. And next, I'm going to add some cauliflower. Now you notice that I'm using 3 different kind of vegetables to cook this salmon vegetable dish. Now actually, it turned out that the more vegetable that you put in it, the better the vegetable will taste. Furthermore, it will allow you to eat different kinds of vegetable, provide you with greater nutritional benefit. Now the vegetable medley that I have created in the past using different combinations of vegetables. But you can also vary the ratio of the vegetables. As you can see in here, the broccoli, which I call it the star of the show, because that is the main vegetable which I have the greatest amount. Now you notice that I add a little bit more cooking oil. I did not add any cooking oil earlier because I have the cooking oil which together with the oil that produced by the salmon, this will actually allow the vegetable to absorb those cooking oil. Now you notice that there are almost no oil standing at the bottom of the wok. Now that's how you want it to be. When you do stir fry, you want to have just the right amount of oil, the oil that will be absorbed by the food ingredients. Now this is very important because the oil plays a very important role by adjusting the temperature of the food ingredients. Because at the temperature between 250 to 330 degrees Fahrenheit, there's a chemical reaction known as Maillard reaction. This chemical reaction is important because it allowed convert the molecule on the surface of food ingredients into flavor molecule. Now you notice that I add a little bit more oil, and by adjusting the right amount of oil, I can cause charring of the vegetables. Now everybody know that if you char the vegetable, it would taste better. Why people grill vegetables and sometimes you roast vegetables. Okay, now the way I cook this dish is that I use no water at all, and this actually allows the vegetable to be more crisp. At the next step is that I add some oyster sauce, just a little bit, because the vegetables themselves will already have great flavor. Now the vegetable is almost done. When I eat it, I will find this vegetable tastes great because they have that nice crunch to it. The rule of thumb is that if you do not add water to the vegetable during stir frying, the vegetable will tend to be more crunchy. And if you add water, they will be softer. If you want a softer vegetable, then you add water, because once you add water, it will start to steam it. The final vegetable I'm going to add is some red cabbage. Again, you notice that I add only a small amount of red cabbage, just enough to provide extra flavor to the vegetable dish. And then I add the salmon to it. Now you notice that I can now stir fry everything together without the salmon breaking up, because I have fried the salmon earlier. That will sear the salmon and keep them intact. A few stir, the dish is done. Now the total cook time of this dish is about 7 minutes. It takes about a few minutes to cook the salmon, and because the salmon has already been cooked, so all I need to do is that to mix it with the vegetable and keep it warm, and this will be sufficient. In this dish, I use approximately about 6 to 7 ounces of salmon, and it is enough for 2 people, that's my wife and I, and this use salmon as a condiment rather than as a main ingredient. And in fact, the vegetables are the main component of this dish. But by combining together, it creates a nice blend between the salmon and the vegetable. Last but not the least, I'm going to garnish the dish with some scallions. Now, I always have some scallions on hand. They're extremely handy for garnish a dish. And also, it adds freshness to the dish. It's kind of like onion. Now, the last but not the least is that I'm going to likely garnish the dish with some hoisin sauce. Again, you can use whatever approach that you want to take in create the flavor that you want. The hoisin sauce will give a little bit sweetness to the vegetable as well as the salmon. And I really like it. Again, each time I adjust accordingly. And I call this flavor chasing. Now, through this approach, using my fast cooking system, that is flavor chasing, advanced peppering, stir frying, and template-based cooking, you can take basically the same ingredients and create almost entirely different dish based on how you cook it, how you season it, and through this template-based approach, it gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility. Okay, so keep on cooking, and I will see you tomorrow.